dall'Australia. Our greetings and thanks go to foreign colleagues who will kindly share with us their experience with coronavirus. Avevamo messo in programma per la data di oggi il nostro convegno annuale intitolato Vite, Clima, Territorio, Bellezza, con dei relatori illustri, ma questa situazione ci ha impedito di svolgerlo e abbiamo deciso di rinunciarvi, quindi per ovvi motivi, ma allo stesso tempo ci premeva molto incontrare le aziende per uno scambio di esperienze sulla situazione attuale. Questo incontro si svolge con il patrocinio di Asso Enologi e vede la partecipazione della Regione Toscana nella persona del dottor Gennaro Giliberti, che è responsabile del settore produzioni agricole, vegetali e zootecniche, appunto della Regione Toscana. A questo punto, prima di passare il microfono al collega Fabio Mencarelli per iniziare il convegno coinvolgendo i colleghi stranieri, vi do alcune informazioni pratiche. Per chiunque avesse necessità di intervenire potrà utilizzare la chat per prenotarsi. Il professor Brunori coordinerà i lavori, il professor Brunori, che è il presidente del corso di viticoltura e enologia dell'Università di Pisa, coordinerà i lavori in lingua italiana al termine della prima parte. La parola adesso all'amico e collega professor Fabio Mencarelli. So I give you Fabio Mencarelli, that is professor of enology in the University of Pisa. Prego Fabio. Ci sei Fabio?
Yes,
ok.
Yes. Ci sono, ma stavo rispondendo al collega spagnolo che mi chiamava su Skype. C'erano un po' di problemi. Ok, buonasera a tutti. Scusate un attimo. Buonasera a tutti. Devo parlare in inglese per collegarmi con i colleghi che abbiamo invitato. Quindi, the first speaker. Sorry.
Fabio, this is your colleague from Spain, probably. Yeah, trying to call you by Skype.
Yeah, okay. Sorry for this. Again. My goodness. Okay, the first speaker is from Australia and is Kerry Wilkinson. And she is teaching enology at the University of Adelaide. I hope she is in connection with us because I don't see any connection right now. We are almost at 200, but I don't know if she is in connection.
I'm here, Fabio. Hello.
Okay, Kerry. So, Kerry, I'll give you to start the talk, and please, and I thank you for participation. I know there is late in the evening, almost night, and so I want to know what's the fever about the effect of the COVID on the one sector in Australia. So please give your sensation, your expertise, what the wine world in Australia is going to do to face this great problem. Okay, you have 10 minutes because we are several people needs to talk. So you have 10 minutes and then you can go to sleep. Please.
Thank you. I think we've probably been quite lucky in Australia, and we've had fairly limited cases of COVID-19 here. Maybe not nearly as badly affected as other parts of the world, but we learned from other parts of the world very early on, and so we went into lockdown and imposed quite strict isolation protocols very quickly. So probably 6 or 7 weeks ago, decisions were made for us to stop interstate travel. We started to close flights from overseas into the country and limited flights back out of the country. We started practicing social distancing, so people were not supposed to be coming to work if they could work from home. Obviously, there were some people's work is considered to be essential, and so those people needed to go to work, and that very much included the wine industry. Once harvest started, the people who were in the wine industry still needed to go to work and harvest the grapes and to make the wine. And so where that occurred, people were asked to practice social distancing, so keeping 1.5 metres at least from other people, implementing really good hygiene practices, so lots of washing hands regularly, and maintaining the use of personal protective equipment if people felt that was necessary. We haven't really seen a lot of people walking around wearing masks or gloves. Mostly it's been using hand sanitizer and soap, and that's been sufficient. I've spoken to a few of my former students and some of my collaborators in the wine industry, and in their instance, because vintage was here and they had to harvest the grapes and make the wine, they couldn't stop. So much of the actual harvest and wine production processes have taken place as per normal, except for those, social distancing practices. But in some of the larger wineries where they run 24 hours through vintage, they were staggering the starts. So they would finish one shift, one 12-hour shift shorter than 12 hours, and then have the next shift start with a break in between so that they could ensure that there was that handover without as many people on site as possible, and then more regular cleaning processes to ensure that surfaces were being wiped down so that there was less risk of people, potentially contaminating something and then exposing somebody else to whatever might have been there. In terms of, I think, the biggest impact on the wine industry, it's very much been the limitations for travel. So very quickly, any of the cellar doors that were offering wine tastings were no longer allowed to have any visitors to their sites. And many of our cellar doors have restaurants or cafeterias where people could come for meals as well, or people would visit on weekends. So all of that was shut down. So many of the wineries have become quite innovative, and they have been, trying to engage with their customers through online sales. I know I've had a number of emails from wine companies that I follow, offering special deals, so discounts on the cost of wine or free freight for them to post wine. Some wineries were doing, their cellar doors were doing, takeaway food for a period of time, but then that got shut down because the concern was that it was encouraging people to come to wine regions and, potentially not practicing that social isolation. So I think that's probably been, some of the bigger challenges for the industry. Not so much the production side, that just had to happen because the grapes had to be harvested and the wine had to be made. So apart from the hygiene and the cleaning processes, it really was how, the industry is going to, continue selling wine. Our industry's probably suffered a little bit in this past vintage more than others. You probably heard about the fires that we had in a number of wine regions. So there were already some, of our wine regions that we're trying to manage that issue. We've had some regions where the yields have been down, so there's sort of been those challenges as well. I guess moving forward, what seems to be the biggest concern is how we maintain some of our exports to countries overseas, because we probably sell maybe, I think it's 50 to 60% of our wine to overseas markets, and so we're just not seeing that demand for our product elsewhere, and or it's not as easy to be able to send wine overseas. That said, there's some suggestion that while people are stuck at home, self-isolating, that potentially they're enjoying a glass of wine a little bit more regularly than they might be otherwise. So people are, still purchasing wine directly from either bottle shops or from cellar doors. But I guess that's one thing that there's some concern in terms of how long these lockdowns might last, and I guess what that impact's going to be moving forward. For us, I guess from a research and teaching point of view, it's certainly been very different. We're teaching a lot like this online with classes. It's obviously a big challenge trying to run sensory practicals. Some of my colleagues have been sending small samples of wines out to students to taste and conducting tastings that way. I haven't been able to do that with my class because I have about 120 students. We usually do about 3 or 4 days of intensive tasting, and it was just too difficult to be able to try and do that logistically. So that's certainly been a challenge. And I guess from a research perspective, whilst we've been able to do most of our field trials and we've managed to get through most of our winemaking, we've now got wines sitting bottled, and because of our social distancing requirements, we're not now able to conduct sensory analysis. So that's going to be an ongoing issue, I think, in terms of how we do sensory analysis for some of the research projects. So that's probably most of the things that I can think of. I'm happy to take some questions if people maybe want to try via the chat. I'm not sure whether you wanted to run questions or not.
Okay, can
Yes.
you please tell us again what is your special field of research? Because I didn't get it.
My area of research is wine chemistry, but a lot of the trials that I do, I would pair wine chemistry with wine sensory, and probably I'm best known for my research looking at smoke taint, so the impact of bushfire smoke on grape and wine production.
Okay, Kerry, thank you very much, and I thank you also, Andrea, for this question to Kerry, because I forgot to say the specialization of Kerry about this. I know Kerry, especially for the smoke taint, for the problem of the smoke coming from the wildfire, which is one of the every year in Australia, the wildfire are present, and last year has been very bad. So, okay, Kerry, thank you very much for your participation. We appreciate also of your experience on sharing the same problem for teaching and training that we have, especially for sensory analysis, obviously. Okay, thank you very much. If you want to stay, it's okay. Otherwise, have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Kerry.
See ya.
Then the next speaker is early in the morning in California. Is from University of Davis, one of the most prestigious university for wine and viticulture all over the world. And they should be in connection, Professor Waterhouse, Andrew Waterhouse. And Andy, you are there? Andy? Hello, Andy. It seems Andy is not connected yet. Okay. So we wait for Andy. Is early in the morning. There could be around 6 o'clock, something like that. And so If Andy is not there, we go over with the next speaker, and I invite to speak Professor Jorg from University of Lisbon. Okay, Jorg Ricardo da Silva. Jorg, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, Jorg.
Yes, Fabio.
You are not over ocean, but you are close to us.
Yes.
Here is Jorg. So, Jorg, what's the situation in the wine sector in Portugal?
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Fabio Mencarelli, for this kind of invitation. It's my pleasure to participate today. All my compliments also to the other colleagues and everybody that is linked with us by this video conference. Well, we are all facing a completely new situation and a very difficult one. However, it looks like the COVID-19 in Portugal, it isn't one of the worst situation. And specifically concerning the wine sector, of course, that the companies have some problems on the exportation and on the sales in general. We estimate to 15 to 20% lost in the last months, the last 2 months, for the big companies, and in general for the small companies up to 50%. Anyway, the exportation seems to increase a bit now as Asia starts to reopen the markets, and also for the USA and Canada. In the last months, we increased 15% on the exportation. So the things are not so bad, but of course, being the hotels and the restaurants and all the wine tourism facilities closed until now, of course, this is not a good sign to sell the wines. Anyway, the takeaway is running, and of course, including the wine. During this period, the supermarkets and all the groceries are open, and of course, they sell also the wine. And according to the statistics, we increased also the wine consumption at home in Portugal. Also, the online orders for the wine increase during this period, of course. Most part of the restaurants will open next Monday, of course, adapted to the situation, and this will be something good to sell the wines, of course. The hotels and the eno-tourism facilities, for example, state.
Ricardo, we don't hear you. Probably, please check the microphone.
It's okay now?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, concerning the harvest, of course, we will have from the end of July the new harvest, the 2020 harvest. Of course, all the safety cares, the social distancing and the other things will be respected. But one thing is sure, we will harvest the grapes. And it seems that the price of the grapes will not be affected by this situation. The state help with some funds the wine companies, the grape growers, producers, To give you an example, if necessary, the distillation of the wine, even the cluster thinning of the bunches is expected to have some help, not 100%, but and help given by the state. Some companies related to this issue, some companies also start to distill some wines in order to produce alcohol, and alcohol shell as disinfectant that is quite used nowadays, as you know. For the future, and to finish, I think that the things will be different for sure. Everywhere. We will have a new scenario, a new way to think about the things. Anyway, for the wine industry specifically, the colleagues, the companies believe that after the crisis, the things go back to the normal. I mean, speaking about the sector. Because the new projects will be restarted, the enoturism facilities will be reopened, and the tourism in Portugal, as you know, is a very important economical sector, and the fact that the country is perceived as a safe, secure, and with a good quality of life, it seems that when the crisis will stabilize, people come back again to Portugal as tourists, and of course this concerning the wine consumption will be very important. So we are optimistic for the future. The tourism of Portugal has created a label clean and safe that will put this label everywhere, and the network follow the rules established by the government and the health management board, and this is a sign to the people that visit the country that stay safe when inside the country. And I think that's all. Thank you very much again for this invitation. It was a pleasure to participate.
Okay, thank you, Jörg, for your contribution. Do you expect some cut in university inscription from the students?
Do you mean a cut about the...
See, a reduction of the subscription of the university, or the enrollment in the university?
We don't speak about that because the fees that the national students pay are not so high. So probably we will keep these fees even with the crisis. And let's see. Let's see what the things will run.
Okay, thank you very much again.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Okay, the next speaker, it comes from France. Is my friend Pierre-Louis Tesser, is a professor of enology at the University of Bordeaux. Pierre-Louis, you are there, I saw before. Pierre-Louis? Pierre-Louis? I don't know. It was one of the first in the connection. I don't see now.
I cut my microphone, so I am here.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Pierre-Louis, for coming. Tell us about France.
Yes, so thank you, Fabio, for invitation, and my hello to all the assistants and also to the colleague of the other university. We are facing something really unexpected. And so the first point is, of course, the economic impact. that will be extremely important for the sector. And the problem for, I think, all of us, it's the consumption and the fact also that the borders are closed. So we have business, some business closed or partially closed with unemployment. So it means fewer resources. So therefore, inevitable trade-off with other products. And so we have consumed less wine, and maybe some people drink more cheaper wine. To give you an example, Champagne and Alsace wine, it was an important decrease in the sale, less 63%. And of course, there is more sale in line. Alors, with the COVID-19 difficulty, it's add to the Trump tax and uncertainty with the Brexit. And of course, we can be worried a little bit, all of us, I think, about our industry. If I am thinking, of course, for Bordeaux, the Bordeaux wine market is at a standstill, but Bordeaux is not the only region concerned, and wine production is not the only sector concerned. So tourism, catering are also hardly hit, which also has an impact on the consumption. And the situation is not dynamic before, it is getting worse. So one of the collateral damage, I can say, of this pandemic is also the postponement of Premier Week traditional in Bordeaux. And despite everything, we can remain a storable, non-perishable product. It doesn't save us from everything, but it does encourage us to be very reactive when the situation improves. Another point is that with deconfinement, the emotional context and the constraint will influence purchasing behavior. One point also that I would like to mention concerns workforce trouble. I just want to remember you, I don't know if you have heard about it, but for example, colleagues in Argentina had some trouble with workforce. 70%, for example, of Argentinian production in Mendoza was harvested, and the harvest this year started earlier with a delay of 2 weeks. And so, because of coronavirus, the workforce was forced to return to the region of origin following confinement. Many estates and some of the famous fincas, for example, are left without staff, while a good third of the grapes are still standing and need to be harvested. And so it will be a decrease, for example, for this country of probably 2-3 million quintals of grapes. So this type of situation can also happen where we need to do harvest by hand in some places if it's not possible to have people to do it. So it's also a point to consider. To give you also another idea, especially for France, according to the Federation of Wine and Spirits Exporter of France, wine export fell by 12% of 1.84 billion euros in the first quarter of 2020, with a fall of almost 20% in March alone. So a lot of countries, and in France, we have asked European Commission to see what is possible to do. European Commission authorized intervention on wine market, but announced not to release new funds to finance its measure. And so in France, especially some of the colleagues and European parliamentarians think that it's insufficient. They ask for exceptional financing measures and does not intend to stop doing pressure to change the game. So on the French scale, we have a plan by our Ministry of Agriculture and Economy. And so first, on the longer wait, part of exemption from operators, social security contribution, and employer, social security contribution. Government recognizes the need to support companies to get through this difficult financial milestone, and he will put an envelope of 100 million euros on the table. Another crucial subject for part of the profession in France is probably head for distillation. The change is to reduce the volume available in the cellar when cellar plunge and stock are waiting on price. So governments say it is ready to support a distillation plan of 2 million hectoliters for an amount of 140 million euros. The sector was asking, in fact, 260 million euros, corresponding to a distillation of 3 million hectoliters. So you can see the level, because 3 million of hectoliters, it's a lot. And finally, we have, of course, concerning the dispute between United States and Europe, the subsidy of aeronautical industry, which led Trump to introduce a 25% tax on French wine without bubbles. Sparkling are exempted. So the minister affirmed to continue to carry the fight in Brussels, and the wine growers are demanding an European compensation fund. Alors, this is part of consequences. Another point is, of course, since this virus and the new coronavirus responsible of the disease has arrived, we were able to think about especially hygiene practice that have to be adapted. We know that the virus is spread from person to person, and so the virus to project onto surfaces can survive there for a variable duration for a few hours to several days. So during the period transmission, it is then possible by contact with contaminated surface. And in our opinion, we should take measures for hygiene in the cellar and in the winery. Latest data from China, for example, shows that the virus is inactivated in 5 minutes by
Pierre-Louis, the microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, so I am almost finished. I am saying that there is some data showing inactivation of the virus, in fact, for hygiene. If you have 5 minutes by heat, 70 degrees, ethanol 70% volume, chloroxyphenol 0.05%, it's okay, you can destroy it. It is resistant, the virus, to pH between 3 and 10 and stable at 4 degrees for at least 14 days. And so if you use disinfectant in winery, use the one tested according to a standard that is EN 14476 with a virucidal claim. It's very important for the winery when you will have to prepare harvest. And then I would like to finish on a point that is very important. Many patients, in fact, with this disease, with COVID-19 experience, has the loss of taste, ageusia, and or smell, nausea. And so there is consequences probably for enologists, wine specialists, for tasting. So, for example, in France, Enologists French Union launched an international survey on the loss of smell and taste for enologists and people of wine sector. I will be able to share with you this survey. And the loss of smell, in fact, could be due by inflammation of nasal mucosa or more targeted damage to the olfactory neuroepithelium. Natural course of this anosmia seems very favorable in most cases within a few days to a few weeks. And some European multi-center studies have been reporting that smell recovering within 15 days in 44% of patients. However, it could last up to several months as in other viral infection, and this needs more investigation. This is also a point, I think, that you will have to work in the future to be with defense against this virus and to protect ourselves, because it's essential to be able to taste for all of us. And so, well, I want to be positive. So when we will have probably the vaccine, so of course the things will change. But for now, of course, we have to be cautious. And so I would like to thank you for invitation.
Thank you, Pierre-Louis, also for this information about anosmia, as it is interesting. What about the university? University of Bordeaux receives every year a lot of foreign students. Do you expect some reduction in the students coming from all over?
Yes, probably, because there is a problem of border. If they are closed, there is also a problem of quarantine. And another point is that, for example, in Bordeaux, the classes in September will not be done only in presential, but a lot of them will be done in distancial by the web and by computer. So what become a mobility if you do the classes only by computer, you know, so probably it will be some reduction. So at least for the first semester between September and January. Maybe after it should be easier, because also another point is that in presential in the university, there is respect of rule and distanciation. That means that in a room, you cannot have the same quantity of person as before. If you have, for example, I don't know, 50 places, it means that you have to reduce almost by the half because of the distanciation. So it's also one of the trouble. So it's a real new organization for the classes, in fact.
Thank you, Pierre-Louis. We had the same problem, and we were discussing even with the president, Professor Brunori, about this. And thank you for attending and giving this information from France. And for now, if you want to stay with us, you are welcome. Otherwise, you can come back to work at home. Okay.
Thank you very much, and have a good continuation to all Italian colleagues. And so we can hope to meet again really with good Italian and French wine together.
Okay, I hope so for sure, and pretty soon. Bye-bye, Pierre-Louis.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Okay. Next speaker, I try again with Professor Waterhouse. Andy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, Andy. Okay. Now I see you. Okay, thank you for. I know you are early in the morning. I hope you already have breakfast.
Yes, it's early in the morning. Yes.
We are in digestion now, after lunch, obviously. And so Professor Andrew Waterhouse is professor of enology at the famous Mondavi Center in Davis, as Department of Food Science and Viticulture. And so, Andy, give us some information about the situation, especially in California. We're there. It is the main state for wine production. What is expected for the future following the COVID?
Well, I can tell you what's happening now. I'm not sure about the future after COVID, but so just to check, are you hearing me okay?
Perfect.
Okay, good. Well, first of all, Fabio, thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this interesting discussion across the world about response in the wine sector to this horrible pandemic. So of course, the major effect immediate was everyone had to go home. So we have various orders at various levels of strictness in the US. So to explain, in California, the state of California has a stay-at-home order, but the details are organized at what we call the county level. So in California, there's 58 counties. Davis is in Yolo County. So the health commissioner in Yolo County is what makes the specific decisions. So for instance, in Yolo County, starting last Monday, you had to wear a mask if you went to the shop. Okay, so if you went shopping for food, you had to wear a mask. But in other counties, the regulations are slightly different. Now, in general, there are exceptions for essential workers, and food production is considered essential, and wine falls under that order. So, wine production is permitted to proceed. Of course, you have to be careful with your workers that they're separated, they're not working closely together. And so in general, what most companies are doing is they're having the workers come to work at different times of the day. So you may, instead of having everybody there at one time, you have a morning shift and an afternoon shift. But the work continues. So the wineries are open, the vineyards are operating. Of course, in the winery it's open, but there's no tasting room open. So, and this has a huge economic impact. So the production continues, but the sales has completely changed. You may have visited, I know you visited California, and maybe you visited Napa Valley, and most of the wineries in Napa Valley and Sonoma, et cetera, have tasting rooms where you can stop, and you usually have to pay some money and you taste some wine. But for the smaller companies, in many cases, this is their primary source of income. They're sold directly to the public, the visitors, and this is completely stopped. So there's no tasting room activity anywhere in California. So depending on, okay, so let me continue then. Now if we look at the market globally in the US, wine sales of wine is way up. People are buying huge amounts of wine in the grocery store and the wine shops. So if you were selling most of your product into what we call the retail environment, or sometimes called off-premise, then your sales are up. And some companies who have sell most of their product through the retail outlets, they're having trouble filling the orders. They're looking for wine to sell, and this may have some benefit overall because coming up to this year, there was a surplus of wine in storage. So there were lots of wine that had not been sold from the past 2 years. We had very large crops. So this may help in that sense. It may help to clear some of the past inventory. But so far we have 2 months of high sales, and it's not clear if that's going to continue. It certainly won't continue indefinitely. But it seems that when people are stuck at home and can't go out and enjoy themselves, they drink more wine. Now, for the smaller companies who had, for instance, they were selling mostly to restaurants. So the high-end, high-quality producers often were selling in their tasting room, and they're selling to restaurants. Both of those avenues are closed. So the economic difficulties are going to fall on the smaller companies that tended to sell to restaurants and in their tasting room. So they're economically, some of them are probably going to go out of business. We haven't seen bankruptcies yet, but that may happen over the next few months. It sort of depends on how quickly the restaurants reopen. That hasn't happened yet in California. In a few places, they've started to open restaurants, although there's a lot of concern that that's too early now to open places like restaurants. But in general, the market is larger, and I was wondering what your experience was in other places. Are people drinking more, or is it static? Now at the university, as I'm sure all of you have the same experience, we have completely closed all the classrooms. There are no in-person, there's no in-person teaching. So even practical courses must be taught online. And in some cases, we cannot do that. So we have one course has been closed. It's a wine finishing course. So the students take wine from the last harvest, they filter it, they add oak, and in the end they bottle it. They have some marketing plans with that, and that seemed to be impossible to do by distance. So that was closed. All the other courses are functioning during this time period, which is surprising. One of the courses that's functioning is the tasting course. Professor Heyman felt that we had to offer the tasting practical laboratory because students needed that course in order to graduate. So if we didn't offer that, then these students would not be able to finish their studies. So she's organized it by giving the students sensory data, and the requirement is that they analyze the data, the sensory data for the practical laboratory. Of course, they actually have no tasting experience, so this is a loss, but there really isn't too much to be done about that. We couldn't figure out a way to have this legally give the students samples of wine to taste. There are many, you may know there are many legal restrictions in the United States on selling and sending wine products, so it was too complicated to try to do that. We are hoping that in the fall, so we start again in late September. We're hoping that by then we will be able to offer some practical courses in person. We expect that the large lectures will probably still be done online, but we're very hopeful that we can have at least small groups of students in the wine. Well, we're mainly worried about the wine making, so we teach wine making, and of course we start with grapes. And we're hopeful that we'll be able to do that in person. But I have to say that at this point, no final decision has been made. I suspect that decision will be delayed until we have a better picture of the progression of the disease in the general population. Right now in California, disease incidence and mortality is dropping very slowly. It's sort of flat. But because of that, the government is starting to relax some of the restrictions. So we're starting to see this coming week, some shops of various types are starting to open. Of course, the grocery stores have been open all along, but a few other shops are going to be opening next week. So we're hopeful that we'll gradually be able to get back to something, we'll get back to something similar to what we consider to be normal. So that's the basic outline of our situation. Maybe you have some questions I can help address.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Andy. more or less the situation, California situation is like Italy, because in the university for the fall semester we don't know if we can have a face-to-face lecture. Right now the university speaks about mixing teaching, something telematic by computer, something on class. So we don't know. But the sensory testing is the main problem, and the other problem the university is trying to solve is about the stage of the university in the winery, of the students in the wineries during the harvest season, mainly to have a real contact with the wineries and with the vinification process. And at this time, the position is negative. So, as you said, right now everything is virtual. We hope the index of contamination is going down rapidly, so we can open much more. But more time, the situation is like you say. The restaurant is still closing, and they will open next Monday, and but with the problem of the distanciation and so on. Also, Jorg said that the increase of wine consume, even in Portugal, there is even in Italy, there is a lot of wine shipping, people buying through website, and so a lot of wine shipping everywhere. I don't know if this means an increasing of consume or not, but there has been a lot of wine shipping, buying through web. Okay, thank you, Andy.
Okay.
Very much. We appreciate.
So I do have a question for you. We have a number of students who want to come to Europe for harvest, for next harvest this year, and they don't know what to plan. We're telling them they must have what we say plan B, somewhere in California. It sounds like coming to Italy for harvest to do an internship is probably unlikely. Is that?
Right now, it's very hard because there are quarantine problems and so for people coming from abroad, obviously. And I know the company, the winery, are ready to accept workers with obviously the legal limits for the distanciation and or the legal limit you explained before. And but I don't know. Obviously, for our students, the university doesn't take the responsibility to send the students in the wineries because of contamination. I don't know for students coming from abroad if the border will be open, if there will be a different approach. I really don't know. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
One good, I can see one positive thing is that by the time we are in connection right now through computer, during our courses, if there is the possibility to join for the students to give a special lecture for own expertise, probably is something we can do probably for the next semester. Okay, this is for Jorg, this is for Pierre-Louis, this is handy for Kerry, whatever he is. So it's an opportunity to share our knowledge for the students to have this opportunity to exchange information, which is important for the students. Thank you again. And
okay. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're welcome. Next speaker, and is the last one of the foreign countries. Javier Tardaquila from the University de La Rioja in Logroño is a good friend, Javier, and he speaks in Italian. So if you want to speak in Italian, it's your choice, Javier.
Fabio is an enologist.
I don't know. Well? He's a viticulture. He's a professor of viticulture.
Okay.
Javier? 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 Are you there?
Yeah, hello everybody.
Oh, okay. You
Buon pomeriggio a tutti. Hello everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Mi ascoltate bene? Mi senti bene?
Tutto a posto, grazie.
Un caro saluto a tutti quanti. Grazie Fabio per questa opportunità di raccontarvi le mie impressioni sull'impatto del Covid nel settore vitivinicolo spagnolo. Volevo cominciare a dire che in Spagna il consumo del vino in generale è calato perché tutti i ristoranti sono chiusi dal 15 marzo, quindi tutto questo mercato è praticamente adesso nullo, no? Quindi questo rappresenta circa del 40% a livello nazionale e 60% a livello della Rioja, dove io lavoro. La Rioja è una delle zone di maggiore prestigio in Spagna. Noi produciamo circa 300 milioni di litri all'anno, 3 milioni di ettolitri, di quali il 60% è mercato nazionale e il 40% viene esportato. Il mercato nazionale è praticamente per la Rioja, diciamo, il mercato nazionale è praticamente ridotto perché è basato praticamente sulla ristorazione. La ristorazione rappresenta il 60% del mercato di Rioja, quindi questo da metà marzo è nullo. È aumentato, per dire che è aumentato un pochino il consumo di vino di legame di livello medio o bassa qualità, insomma, cioè è quelli del prezzo minore, perché è quello che viene consumato nelle case, no? Nelle case il consumo, la gente è a casa, quindi il consumo così di casa è aumentato, no? Però questo è praticamente rappresenta praticamente una percentuale molto bassa per il mercato del Rioja e non viene a compensare il 60% del mercato della ristorazione. Quindi questo è importantissimo per noi, per dire, se parla che il Rioja quest'anno avrà un impatto di circa tra il 40 e il 50%. Queste sono le previsioni del consorzio della Rioja, una riduzione del 40-50% in volume e più del 50%, tra il 50 e il 60% in fatturato. Il prezzo dell'uva, adesso sta parlando del prezzo dell'uva in La Rioja. L'anno scorso il prezzo dell'uva ha girato la media era intorno a 1 euro per chilo, 100 euro per quintale, 1 euro per chilo, e quest'anno si parla di 0,5, 50 centesimi per chilo. Ci sono già alcune delle grosse cantine che acquistano milioni di chili di uva, quelle delle più grandi, che hanno bueno, il pubblico, una delle grosse cantine della Rioja si chiama Marqués de Cáceres, che è una delle più grosse, fa una vinificazione di circa 20-25 milioni di chili all'anno, che ha cominciato a scrivere delle lettere ai produttori dicendo che quest'anno non acquisterà molte delle uve che acquistava l'anno scorso, quindi già la paura scritta c'è dal direttore generale, quindi non sono già la paura. Adesso cominciano a arrivare al settore, ai produttori, dicendo che si parla già della vendemmia in verde, quindi del diradamento, quindi del cluster thinning per ridurre la produzione, perché quest'anno penso che forse parte dell'uva rimarrà in campagna o non si sa dove andrà a finire. E un'altra questione importante che a livello nazionale che è aumentato anche l'e-commerce, con il commercio elettronico di vini, quindi che si parlava prima anche qua, però questa è una minima parte del commercio, quindi però è stato un stimolo per molte cantine per cominciare con le piccole con vendita online, anche se sono piccole, certe piattaforme che favoriscono questo mercato. Questo penso che sarà un'opportunità per aprirsi a questa via del commercio elettronico, no? Oltre un altro aspetto che volevo indicarvi, che in Spagna, come in Italia, penso come in Francia, se parla in televisione in generale, il settore turistico è fondamentale, no? Il settore turistico, noi riceviamo circa 80 milioni di persone all'anno, 80 milioni di turisti. È il secondo paese dopo la Francia. Quindi ancora le decisioni che ci saranno, che impatto ancora non si sa, però non si sa se la gente potrà andare al mare o no quest'anno, se i ristoranti forse possono aprire, ma gli alberghi no, non si sa ancora ci sono tanti dubbi, tanti dubbi. Quindi adesso per esempio in Spagna ci sono 4 fasi, noi siamo nella fase 1, quindi adesso questa settimana sono aperti i bar, solamente le terrazze, quella parte esterna, no? Non l'interno, no? Sono aperti i piccoli negozi, no tutti, e quindi si comincia a muovere l'economia, perché molti sono molto preoccupati con l'economia, come andrà a finire, insomma. Quindi pensate che in Spagna fosse uno dei paesi con un numero di bar maggiore, quindi molti di voi siete venuti in Rioja, in Spagna, e ci sono i bar ovunque dove la gente beve, mangia, quindi questa parte è tutto fermo, quindi lì il mercato del vino è un piccolo disastro, insomma. Quindi questi 80 milioni di persone, se parlano che magari non so quanti possono arrivare, magari qualche milione, però insomma sarà una riduzione molto importante dall'arrivo dai turisti, no? Non si sa ancora se possiamo andare in Italia, gli italiani possono venire qua o in Francia. Quindi ancora si parla adesso è obbligatorio fare anche la quarantena, no? La quarantena per tutte le persone che arrivano in Spagna, anche se sono spagnole o no, devono obbligatorio fare 15 giorni a casa o nell'albergo o nell'hotel. Quindi questa è una cosa anche importante, no? Quindi questa è anche una misura che frena molto il turismo, logicamente, no? Quindi tutta la parte questa è bloccata. Per quanto riguarda le cantine continuano, non sono mai fermate il lavoro, perché come industria agroalimentare, che sono considerate in Spagna, quindi non sono state condizionate delle misure di chiusura di altre industrie, quindi hanno lavorato sempre con le misure di sicurezza, magari 2 turni come parlava Andy prima, però sempre hanno lavorato tanto a livello della cantina proprio come in campagna, quindi tutti i lavori sono stati fatti erano un po' preoccupati per i lavori di campagna, perché adesso non è possibile in Spagna muoversi fra le diverse regioni. Le regioni sono 17 in Spagna, è vietato muoversi fra le regioni, quindi molte persone che venivano dal sud o venivano da altri paesi, il nord Europa o anche di Portogallo, cioè queste persone non hanno potuto arrivare, quindi molti lavori, adesso tutto il diradamento dei germogli, eccetera, sfumelatura, adesso sono un certo rischio, quindi adesso si andrà più sulla meccanizzazione, perché tutti i lavori manuali adesso sono più difficili farlo, no? A livello manuale. In cantina continuo a lavorare, quindi preparando un po' gli imbottigliamenti, queste attività tranquille, insomma, però mi dicono che la gente è molto preoccupata per il futuro, no? Molte cantine adesso non possono anche vendere il vino, saranno anche molti piene, cioè anche con problemi per ricevere l'uva e il vino per la prossima campagna, anche quello, cioè ci sarà anche un problema logistico di spazio per la recezione dell'uva per la prossima vendemmia. Per quanto riguarda un'altra questione importante del settore del vino cioè praticamente che per riassumere sono la parte di chiusura dei ristoranti, dell'hotel, la parte della riduzione importantissima di turisti dall'estero, però un'altra parte è che la crisi economica che sta arrivando, no? Molte persone disoccupate, molte persone sono tenute a casa e pagate dal governo con questi programmi speciali. Fino adesso sono stati approvati fino al 30 giugno, sono circa 5 milioni di lavoratori in Spagna a casa pagati dal governo, però questo è impossibile da mantenere a lungo termine, giustamente, no? Quindi non si sa alla fine, se parla di che Spagna avrà un impatto sul prodotto lordo fra il 10 e il 15%, quindi questo è importantissimo, e che se arriveremo a una disoccupazione di circa del 20%. Adesso noi eravamo al 12% e si parla del 20%. Prima, un mese fa, si parlava di un recupero in V, quindi arrivare al fondo e subito salire. Ormai non si parla di questo, si parla di una V, di una U, quindi sta calando, arriveremo alla parte bassa per lungo termine, per fare la seconda parte della U molto lentamente la risalita. Quindi questo sarà dura, soprattutto disoccupazione, quindi se la gente quindi perde il lavoro, questo è gravissimo anche per un paese che già avevamo molti problemi di disoccupazione, no? Prima. Quindi questo logicamente affetterà il consumo interno. Infatti i sindacati, tutti gli economisti tentano di promuovere il consumo, però il consumo come dire, mancano gli ingressi, è dura. Okay. Dimmi. Sì.
Dobbiamo terminare.
Ok. Semplicemente per dirvi la nostra università, 2 minuti, si posso finire, dire che è chiusa dal 15 marzo, come tutte le università spagnole, siamo tutti che lavoriamo a casa, abbiamo avuto qualche problemi per la parte pratica, tanto la parte enologia che si parlava prima, no? Per fare soprattutto i corsi di degustazione, wine tasting, però anche per la parte di viticoltura, quindi le ultime pratiche dell'andare in campagna con gli aspetti pratici della viticoltura non l'abbiamo potuto fare, quindi questo è un problema. Un altro problema erano gli esami. Adesso in Spagna praticamente tutte le grandi università che sono presenziali faremo tutti gli esami online, tutti online, quindi niente, le università sono chiuse agli studenti fino a ottobre, fino a settembre, almeno fino a settembre. quindi niente studenti, insomma. Solo sono aperte per fare la maturità all'inizio di luglio. Non so se avete qualche domanda così, se no vi ringrazio per questa opportunità, è un piacere salutarvi a tutti quanti.
Grazie. La situazione è simile a quella italiana, insomma, come hai spiegato, è il male generale questo, insomma, una situazione sia a livello economico che a livello universitario. Ora io ringrazio tutti e lascio la parola ad Andrea, che gestisce, anche per ringraziamenti a tutti voi partecipanti dall'estero. Prego, Andrea.
Sì, prima di tutto voglio fare i complimenti a Javier per il suo italiano, perché sembri un italiano da come parli la lingua.
Grazie.
Allora io adesso passerò la parola al professor Brunori, però prima di passare la parola al professor Brunori e ringraziare tutti i nostri colleghi stranieri che ci hanno portato il loro contributo, volevo chiedere se il dottor Cottarella è in ascolto. Dottor Cottarella di Antinori, ci sente?
Il microfono, sì, eccolo qua, ci sono.
Può mostrare anche il video? Eccolo.
Sì.